Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. It looks like yesterday there was a possible hint towards a future DLC for the Beastmen, something that we've all been expecting as a community, as the Beastmen right now are one of the worst playable factions in Total War Warhammer. We've already had a series dedicated to possible legendary lords and heroes, but with this video I want to focus around the possible units we may see in a DLC for the Beastmen. So without further ado, let's begin. Let's start things off strong here with the Gorgon, mainly because this is such a requested monster by the community that I don't believe Creative Assembly would ignore the fans. So what exactly is this beast and how does it differ from the Cygor and the Giant? Well, the Gorgon in a way is very much like the Cygor, a large monstrous creature which is able to deal a lot of physical damage. However, it's not focused on range damage such as the Cygor, but instead is a fast-moving predator with an extremely high attack rate. This is intended to be a unit destroyer, something which you would unleash at the very front line of your forces and see it rip apart and devour anything within its path. Its special rules on the tabletop were Frenzy, Immune to Psychology, Stubborn, and also Cause Terror. But it also had a unique special rule known as Strength from Flesh, which, as it would do damage, it would have the chance to regain wounds. Obviously in Total War Warhammer this would mean that it would be represented by having regeneration. One unit I'm very much hoping to see would be the Jabberslife, an ancient and foul creature which hides within the deep forests. It is a creature which instills fear into the hearts of its enemies, where any who set their eyes upon one immediately go insane. This is a fast and very durable creature, able to fly across the battlefield at a very fast pace. While normally focused on melee combat, it can use its slithery tongue as a form of ranged weapon which can pierce almost any armor. Its bile blood has been known to cause wounds on any who may attack the Jabberslife, and its special rules are poison attacks and terror. However, a special unique rule that the unit had was Aura of Madness, which was said to drive any enemies that got too close to it insane and inflict damage upon themselves. For balance reasons, I'm assuming that in Total War Warhammer what this would do is reduce the leadership of any enemies that might get too close. Next we'll talk about two possible units here, the Tuscore and the Tuscore Chariot, a weaker variant of that of the Razorgore Chariot. In fact, it's more of a basic unit more than anything else. But it's still very possible that we could see them, as the unit itself would very much be based around a reskin, which is easy to produce, and reskin units do normally come into effect when in regards to DLC content. These would be a lower tier unit, so of course you'd be able to recruit them much easier and earlier in your campaign, meaning that if you prefer a chariot build with your beastmen, these would be a more earlier start to that. Another possible creature would be the Prayton, a savage and hateful creature which not only hates its enemies, but also hates itself. A flying monster which is quite durable in close combat, high toughness and strength values, and a decent number of attacks. This creature had a bunch of different options which would give it Frenzy, give it the Ambush special rule, or even make it more durable in close combat. All of which could be added into its baseline stats, as obviously too many generic flying monsters all doing the exact same thing could get rather boring. Other than that, some generic special rules like Terror and Hatred were also part of this monster, and a special rule known as Endless Malice could be implemented but with some changes. How Endless Malice worked is that if the Prayton was trying to pursue an enemy, it would have to take a leadership test. If the creature failed its test, then it would stay stationary, and while that does not sound too appealing, what the difference was here is that any enemies around that must also take a panic test, as they're seeing the endless malice by the creature. Next is an unlikely subject, but if Creative Assembly want to add something truly special to the Beastmen, they could add in the Incarnate Elemental of Beasts. This is the raw primal form of animalistic nature made manifest, an absolute powerhouse in melee combat, able to do a lot of damage very quickly. This is a large monster with a decent ward save. It's also got terror, unbreakable, and is unstable. Its special rule on the tabletop was Howl of the Great Beast, which worked in a area of effect sense, where all units within a certain distance of this elemental of beasts would be forced to take a panic test. Of course, in Total War Warhammer, what this would do is possibly reduce the leadership of anything nearby. This could be used in a rather interesting way, where you would throw your elemental beast right in between your enemy lines, and then cast this ability, which I'm assuming would be able to be used constantly, provided with a 60-second cooldown or so, and reduce enemy leadership for a small amount of time, very similar to how the anti-morale abilities are in effect in Total War Three Kingdoms. Lastly, we have the giant-spined Chaos Beast. It's described in lore as a gigantic Chaos Warhound, and I assume would be used in exactly the same way, while also being very tough and destructive. It's something which doesn't really need to be added in all honesty, if they're focusing around the elemental of beasts, but this could provide to be a semi-decent unit. Compare it in a very similar way to the Lizardmen Dread Saurian, more or less in the same way. Now, with all that being said, there are a few possible other units. That of the Chimera and the Cockatrice, but I see them more being implemented around a Chaos Undivided route for the Warriors of Chaos. That, and we've already spoken about a fair amount of possible flying units. It doesn't make too much sense to keep implementing more and more flying units when more or less they will have the same feel and uses on the battlefield. Plus, these were Chaos Warrior units, not Beastmen, so it's possible that we could see them for the Beastmen in the future, but maybe when the Warriors of Chaos faction gets a little bit more fleshed out. Kinda like some units which are able to be used in multiple different factions in an effort to tie them closer together. Now, before we end this video and you jump down on the comments section, we have to talk about God-Touch Beastmen. So, it's very likely that we will see these God-Touch Beastmen in the future. There are Beastmen dedicated to Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, and Tzeentch. However, we can't be really sure if we will see them implemented in a possible Beastmen DLC for Warhammer 2, maybe they will be implemented in Warhammer 3. The reasoning behind this is that the God-Touch Beastmen have been getting reworked in Age of Sigmar as of late. Before, all the God-Touch Beastmen were just gores that just had some benefits for their chosen Chaos God. However, in Age of Sigmar, we've seen the Beastmen change dramatically, the God-Touch Beastmen specifically, and it could be very possible that we'll see those variants being added into Total War Warhammer, as it does make a lot of sense in all honesty. However, as of now, only 2 of those have seen their updates. The Beastmen of Tzeentch, known as Zangors, which received a massive amount of new units. Archers, frontline Gors, and even those riding discs of Tzeentch. The Beastmen of Slaanesh also received a new update, where they've been turned to be more of a monstrous unit, the Slangor Fiendblood. Now that leaves us with the Beastmen of Khorne, the Khorne Gors, and the Beastmen of Nurgle, the Pestigors. As of yet, they've still not received their update, and it's very unlikely that we'll see them being updated by GW anytime soon, as their update schedules are quite frantic if I can be very honest, so it's likely that we'll probably see these being updated closer to the release of Warhammer 3 when an eventual new army book known as Battle Tomes in Age of Sigmar for Khorne and Nurgle respectively are released. You never know, however, it could be that we might see a special Beastmen or Beasts of Chaos as they're known in Age of Sigmar month, and they might be updated prior to the launch of this DLC. where if that ends up being the case, then I will feel a bit more confident about them being implemented into Total War Warhammer much sooner than intended. But my speculation still stands that we're going to have a bunch of monogod factions implemented for Warhammer 3, so it's likely we'll see these special beastmen being implemented there. But with all that being said, these are the units I expect to be implemented in a Beastmen DLC, and some I expect to see be implemented in the future. What do you think about these units? Do you think that these are the likely candidates for a Beastmen DLC? And did I miss out any other units? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.